The 1950s, a golden age of post-war optimism in America, where cars were not just a means of transportation but also status symbols, style statements, and bold visions of the future. Automakers raced to create machines that looked like they rolled straight out of a sci-fi movie. But alongside every design triumph, there were always disasters. Today, we're going to explore 30 of the dumbest cars of the 50s that you might have never seen. 1953, Willys Aero. Our journey begins with the 1953 Willys Aero, a small car manufactured by Willys Overland in the United States. This car was equipped with an inline six-cylinder engine, producing about 91 horsepower. What made it stand out from its contemporaries was its unique shape. Soft curves instead of sharp angles, a sloping roofline, and rounded shapes where other cars often had more angular details. Inside, the car had enough seating for 5 people, and the layout and features were quite simple compared to larger American cars of the era. However, the 1953 Willys Aero is often considered one of the worst cars of its time because of its underpowered engine. With just 91 horsepower, it was deemed weak compared to the larger, more powerful cars popular in the 50s. Additionally, the Aero's design was seen as outdated and unappealing compared to newer, more compact models from other manufacturers. These challenges made it difficult for the Willys Aero's sales, and ultimately, production ceased just a few years later in 1955. This led many to consider the car an unsuccessful business venture and one of the least successful American cars of that decade. 1954, Hudson Jet. The 1954 Hudson Jet was a small car produced by the Hudson Motor Car Company to compete with another popular compact car of the time, the Nash Rambler. It had a 6-cylinder engine, producing about 104 horsepower, and came with 2 transmission types, manual or hydromatic automatic. The interior was simple but functional, with room for 6 people. Externally, its boxy, straightforward shape and lack of intricate details earned it the nickname Dull Beige Box. The Hudson Jet made it onto the list of worst cars because it faced several issues that hurt its reputation. It encountered fierce competition in the small car segment and had high production costs. Furthermore, its design was unappealing and its performance didn't meet people's expectations. To add to that, Hudson merged with Nash Kelvinator around that time to become American Motors Corporation, which led to a short production run for the Jet before it was completely discontinued. 1950, Nash Airflyte. The 1950 Nash Airflyte was a unique and distinctive car designed by Nash Motors. It was equipped with a 3.8-liter inline 6-cylinder engine, producing around 112 horsepower. This made it very easy and reliable to drive. Buyers could choose between a standard 3-speed manual transmission or a custom-installed hydromatic automatic transmission. The Airflyte's interior offered ample space and was quite comfortable, with a unique feature where the front seats could convert into a full-sized bed for resting or sleeping, along with plenty of storage. In terms of exterior, this car had a distinctive rounded design with sweeping curves which helped with fuel economy. However, despite its innovative features, the 1950 Nash Airflyte is often considered one of the worst cars of its time. Its unique design was polarizing and not universally loved. Additionally, due to its heavy body and aerodynamic shape, it didn't handle or perform well compared to other cars. Some Airflyte owners also reported issues with the transmission and other mechanical components. As a result, its sales were poor and it was unpopular with consumers. 1956, Studebaker Golden Hawk. The 1956 Studebaker Golden Hawk was one of Studebaker's most important models that year, surprisingly making it onto this list. It was equipped with a 352 cubic inch Packard V8 engine, producing 275 horsepower. Buyers could choose between manual or automatic transmissions, both with 3 speeds. The Golden Hawk's interior featured a unique engine-turn dashboard design and more options compared to previous Studebaker Speedster models. However, to cut costs, some standard features like turn signals became optional extras. Externally, it resembled other Hawk models in the 1956 lineup, but was a distinct model. Unfortunately, despite many considering the 1956 Studebaker Golden Hawk a great car, it was ranked among the worst cars of that era. The main reason was Studebaker-Packard's difficulty competing with major automakers like GM, Ford, and Chrysler. This impacted how they produced and sold the Golden Hawk. Additionally, the car's price was higher than comparable cars in its segment, which might have deterred potential buyers. Studebaker also decided to cut costs on the Golden Hawk by reducing standard features compared to the previous Speedster model, which some viewed as a cost-cutting measure that affected its design and appearance. The styling of Studebaker Hawk models from 1956 to 1961 also drew mixed opinions, with some finding them to look bulky or overly ornate, not fitting the original Lowy coupe styling. 1950 Crosley Hot Shot 1951 Crosley Supersport. The 1950 Crosley Hot Shot was a small, lightweight sports car created by the American manufacturer Crosley Corporation, known for producing compact, affordable vehicles. This car featured a 4-cylinder engine with 26.5 horsepower and a 4-speed manual transmission. On the exterior, it had a convertible design and a nimble feel with a short wheelbase. There was only enough room for 2 people inside and not many comfort features. However, this tiny car could accelerate up to 70 miles per hour thanks to its light body and agile handling. Sadly, the Crosley Hot Shot is often recognized as one of the least desirable American cars for a few reasons. First, its small 44 cubic inch engine didn't provide much power, making it weaker and slower than other vehicles. Furthermore, the Hot Shot was notorious for having quality and reliability issues, such as leaky transmissions or ill-fitting parts, leading to poor finish. Additionally, the Crosley Hot Shot wasn't popular with American car buyers at the time due to its small size, low power, and basic interior. It wasn't viewed as a practical vehicle, but rather more of a novelty item. As a result, both the Crosley Hot Shot and other Crosley models failed to achieve commercial success, leading the company to cease operations just a few years later, in 1952. 1957 Rambler Rebel. The 1957 Rambler Rebel might be a surprising entry on this list. Manufactured by American Motors Corporation, it belonged to the mid-size car segment. Its engine was quite impressive, with a powerful 327 cubic inch V8 engine, boosting its output to 255 horsepower compared to the standard model, which must have been exciting at the time. The car offered 2 transmission choices, manual or automatic, both 3-speed. The Rebel was designed with a simple yet practical interior layout, capable of seating up to 6 passengers, with bench seats in the front and rear, which was standard for cars of that era. Its appearance stood out from other mid-size cars due to its distinctive shape, with a low hood and a short rear deck, giving it an appealing look. Although the Rebel was an impressive car, it gained a bad reputation in 1957. This was because it wasn't very popular and only about 1,500 units were produced that year, not many compared to other cars on the market. Some even argued that it couldn't be classified as a muscle car because its body style didn't resemble what would later be expected from muscle cars. So, despite the Rebel having some great capabilities, it ultimately failed commercially, and people still debate whether its classification fits today's idea of a muscle car. Furthermore, there were reports that the Rebel suffered from low quality and reliability issues, which hampered its market success. 1957 Ford Skyliner, retractable. The 1957 Ford Skyliner was a unique and truly innovative model, becoming America's first mass-produced large retractable hardtop convertible. The mechanism behind this design was highly complex, allowing for seamless conversion from a closed-roof mode to open-air driving. The Skyliner was priced at $2,942 during production, and 20,766 units were manufactured. It featured a Y-block Thunderbird V8 engine, producing 212 horsepower. The car weighed about 2 tons or 3,916 pounds and had a wheelbase of over 9 feet. However, the 1957 Ford Skyliner faced several issues. Its retractable hardtop mechanism was extremely complex, with over 600 parts that constantly caused malfunctions and breakdowns. This complicated roof system also made the car heavier, affecting its road handling and negatively impacting overall performance. Maintaining and repairing issues related to the complex roof was also costly and time-consuming. Furthermore, despite its innovative design, the Skyliner didn't sell as many units as Ford had hoped in 1957, with only 20,766 units produced. The car's high price and complexity made it less appealing to consumers compared to traditional convertible models. 1955. Dodge La Femme. The 1955 Dodge La Femme was a large car designed by Dodge specifically for women. It shared the same engine and transmission with other standard models, including a powerful V8 engine, likely around 185 horsepower, and either a 3-speed manual or a 2-speed automatic transmission. The La Femme featured unique sapphire white and heather rose colors. The interior and accessories were also color-coordinated to appeal to female buyers. It came with several additional accessories like a matching purse, raincoat, and rain hat, along with other fashion accessories women typically liked. However, this car's design focused more on cosmetic or beauty items rather than delivering high style and performance as expected from cars in its segment. Sadly, it wasn't very successful because it was designed based on outdated ideas about women, instead of focusing on what women actually wanted and needed in a car. Instead of ensuring the car performed well and was easy to use, they concentrated on adding elaborate accessories that weren't very practical. Everyone agreed it wasn't worth buying, considering it just a marketing gimmick rather than something useful for female drivers. The La Femme was only produced for 2 years, and dealers sold just 2,500 units. 1950 Nash Rambler. The 1950 Nash Rambler was a small car produced by Nash Motors during the first 4 years of the 50s. Its 6-cylinder engine could only generate 82 horsepower, which wasn't very powerful. The interior of the Nash Rambler featured a modern and sleek design, comfortable for 4 people, along with a unique wraparound windshield. The car's exterior had a distinctive bathtub shape with sweeping curves that gave it an unmistakable look. While the Nash Rambler might have been revolutionary due to its compact, fuel-efficient structure, it wasn't truly popular. Many found the engine weak and struggled when climbing hills or carrying heavy loads without bogging down. Moreover, due to its low profile and lightweight structure, the car shook a lot when cornering or driving fast, which was quite frightening. The Nash Rambler also encountered numerous mechanical and reliability issues, such as problems with the transmission, suspension, and electrical system. All these issues made the car less reliable compared to its competitors. The interior space was quite small, limiting its cargo capacity, making it impractical for most buyers compared to the larger American sedan models of that era. All these factors contributed to the 1950 Nash Rambler's reputation as one of the worst cars ever produced. 1958 Edsel Corsair. The 1958 Edsel Corsair, a Ford model, was intended to be the upscale segment for the new Edsel brand. However, it turned out to be one of the most notorious failures in American automotive history. The car's design was heavily criticized, especially its horse collar grille, which was mocked as weird and ugly. The Corsair was also an engineering nightmare, with its infamous Teletouch automatic transmission frequently malfunctioning and causing drivers to accidentally shift gears when they intended to honk. The build quality was poor, with misaligned body panels, uneven paint, and missing parts straight from the factory. With an expensive price tag and launched during an economic recession, the Edsel failed to attract customers, leading to abysmal sales. It became a national joke and caused a massive loss for Ford. 1957 King Midget Model 3. The 1957 King Midget Model 3 was described as a parody of a car. Designed to be a minimalist, ultra-cheap vehicle, it could be ordered by mail and assembled at home. This car featured a basic steel frame, thin body panels, no doors, and tiny wheels. Its single-cylinder engine produced only 9.2 horsepower, making reaching 50 miles per hour almost impossible. Owners likened it to driving a lawnmower with turn signals. The braking and handling were extremely poor, giving the sensation of a shopping cart on ice. More importantly, it had absolutely no safety features whatsoever. No crumple zones, no seat belts, no real bumpers. In a collision, the driver could be politely ejected. This was truly a weird American dream. 1950 Allstate by Sears, the 1950 Allstate by Sears was one of the strangest and most misguided attempts in American car sales history. Essentially, it was a rebadged Henry J, which was already one of the most basic cars. Sears sold them through catalogs and department stores. The car was equipped with either a 68 horsepower 4-cylinder or an 80 horsepower 6-cylinder engine, but its acceleration was dangerously slow. More importantly, the Allstate lacked most basic features. No power steering, no power brakes, no armrests, no radio, no heater, and notably no rear trunk lid. You had to fold the rear seat down and crawl in to access luggage. The car had flimsy sheet metal bodywork, paint that easily chipped and quickly developed rattles. Sales were abysmal, with only about 1,300 units sold in 2 years, and most stores quietly stopped selling the car. 1957, Dodge Custom Royal Torsion Air Suspension. The 1957 Dodge Custom Royal was part of Chrysler's ambitious forward-look design, promising a revolution in ride quality. The new torsion air suspension was advertised to provide a smoother ride and superior cornering ability. However, due to being rushed into production to compete with GM and Ford, this system revealed serious reliability issues. The torsion bars often sagged prematurely, seized, or broke, leading to unpredictable steering and, in the worst cases, could cause the car to lose control and spin out at high speeds. The car had a strange floating sensation, excessive body roll, numb steering, causing nauseating instability. Additionally, the overall build quality was poor, with loose welds, misaligned body panels, water leaks, and electrical problems, all contributing to its reputation as one of the worst cars ever produced. 1950, Davis Divan. The 1950 Davis Divan was one of the strangest and most notorious failures in American automotive history. Its unique three-wheel design with a single front wheel for steering created catastrophic handling issues, making the car extremely unstable when cornering and prone to lifting one side when driving over 20 miles per hour. The interior was impractical, with the driver seated off-center, no real dashboard, and absolutely no attention to comfort or safety. Even the windshield wipers had to be operated manually. The car's performance was ridiculous, with its 4-cylinder engine producing just 40 horsepower, leading to sluggish acceleration and a wobbly ride. Furthermore, the company was built on hype and fraud. Founder Gary Davis was convicted of grand theft and fraud. Ultimately, only 13 cars were produced. 1958, Renault Dauphine. The 1958 Renault Dauphine, advertised as a sophisticated European option, faced countless flaws upon its arrival in America. The US market version was equipped with a rear-mounted 4-cylinder engine, producing a paltry 32 horsepower, leading to extremely sluggish acceleration. 0 to 60 miles per hour took over 30 seconds. Its tiny drum brakes were completely inadequate, and its handling was erratic and unpredictable. A famous contemporary test noted it drove like a unicycle on ice. The Dauphine also experienced reliability issues in the American climate. Prone to rust, poor cooling, constantly overheating, electrical failures, and a finicky transmission. It wasn't just slow, it was fragile and unsuited to the expectations of American drivers. Have you ever thought a car could have so many problems? Comment yes if you've experienced similar issues with your own car. 1959, Buick LeSabre. The 1959 Buick LeSabre was a design masterpiece of the 1950s, with wild tail fins, a long body, and countless chrome accents. However, hidden beneath that glamorous exterior was a heavy, sluggish car. Its Dayflow transmission was notorious for sapping the performance potential of the V8 engine, making the car sigh rather than surge forward when accelerating. The LeSabre also carried nearly 200 pounds of decorative chrome, a massive amount of unnecessary bling that further diminished the car's overall performance. The driving experience was likened to piloting a battleship, as the car floated aimlessly rather than gripping the road, providing a loose and numb sensation. The luxurious interior was impractical, with large plush seats that lacked real support during movement. This car was a symbol of excess in automotive design, appearing fast but moving slowly like molasses. 1953 Kaiser Dragon. The 1953 Kaiser Dragon was a bizarre fever dream in the automotive industry, a last-ditch effort by an independent manufacturer. Dubbed an over-the-top luxury barge, it featured a damp vinyl roof and performance that was like a deflating air mattress. Despite being equipped with a 226 cubic inch inline six-cylinder engine, it only produced a feeble 118 horsepower, and the hydromatic automatic transmission sucked away what little life the engine had left. The car was sluggish under acceleration, taking over 15 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour. The bamboo-patterned vinyl interior looked like a tiki bar exploded, and the padded vinyl roof soaked up water like a sponge, smelling like a swamp for days. The car's exterior was also controversial, with a gaping fish-mouth grille and odd proportions. This car was a combination of ambition, desperation, and mediocrity. 1957 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser. The 1957 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser was a car designed to be a symbol of the future, but ultimately became a cautionary tale from the past. It was packed with a host of gadgets and electronic toys that engineers could possibly cram in. However, many of these systems either didn't work from the start or stopped functioning after just a few months. For instance, the roof-mounted air intakes were often ineffective and sometimes even leaked water. The retracting rear window also turned the interior into a wind tunnel or a rain trap. This car was a massive, oversized machine with mediocre mechanical components, making driving it sluggish and unagile. The driving experience was poor with vague steering, excessive body roll, and weak brakes. Lax quality control was also a major issue. Ultimately, this car became a joke and was quickly discontinued. 1950 Ford Crestliner. The 1950 Ford Crestliner was Ford's attempt to make a splash in the post-war automotive boom, advertised as stylish with its standout feature, a black vinyl roof. However, the car was merely all sizzle and no steak. Under the hood was a 239 cubic inch flathead V8 engine, producing only 100 horsepower, providing modest acceleration performance. It featured drum brakes and a basic suspension system, with no standard power steering or power brakes. The interior was nothing special compared to cheaper versions. The vinyl roof was polarizing, some found it chic, but many others considered it cheap and flashy. The Crestliner was seen as prioritizing looks over actual substance, having no clear advantages over its competitors. Ultimately, sales quickly declined, and the car faded into obscurity. 1951 Mercury Monterey. The 1951 Mercury Monterey had the look of a movie star. Sleek lines, a wide chrome grille, and a formal roofline exuding style. Ford positioned it as a step up from their basic sedans, but still below Lincoln, targeting middle-class buyers seeking a touch of luxury. Aesthetically, the Monterey truly delivered, looking like the kind of coupe a movie star would drive. Stylish and modern. But when you actually drove it, the problems began. Under the hood was a 255 cubic inch flathead V8 engine producing 112 horsepower, adequate for city driving, but far from exciting. Weighing in at around 3,500 pounds, the Monterey struggled to move quickly. Accelerating from 0 to 60 miles per hour took 18.2 seconds, and the quarter mile stretched to over 22 seconds. The suspension was inherited from basic Ford models with independent coil springs up front, leaf springs in the rear, and four-wheel drum brakes. Handling was sluggish, with heavy steering and significant body roll in corners. The interior was luxurious but lacked innovation or standout technology compared to cheaper competitors. With its higher price, no notable technology, and poor performance, the Monterey quickly faded from the spotlight. 1959 Chevrolet El Camino. Chevrolet's 1959 El Camino was a bold idea on paper, combining the utility of a pickup truck with the comfort of a coupe. However, in reality, this vehicle failed to perform well in either role. Built on the Chevrolet Impala platform, it inherited the flamboyant 1950s styling with large tail fins and a low stance, making it look more like a show car than a work vehicle. The El Camino lacked serious hauling capability, featuring a small bed and a ride height too low for true truck duties. Conversely, as a car, its interior was cramped and less refined compared to traditional sedans. It was a fashion statement with no function, an identity crisis on four wheels. 1957. Lincoln Premier. The 1957 Lincoln Premier was a car designed to make a grand statement, with flamboyant styling, chrome everywhere, and a massive presence as if declaring, "I am the pinnacle of American luxury." However, the dream turned into a nightmare when driving. Nearly 19 feet long and weighing over 5,000 pounds, navigating the car through city streets was like a bad dream, and poor visibility made it feel like commanding a ship. Despite its powerful V8 engine, the car remained sluggish and incredibly fuel-thirsty. The luxurious interior lacked innovation compared to its Cadillac rivals. With its high price, oversized chassis, and poor performance, the Premier couldn't compete. It is remembered as a relic of an era that prioritized big, bold, and flashy over refinement and efficiency. 1958. Buick Limited. The 1958 Buick Limited was an off-key attempt by Buick to outdo everything, and it failed. Measuring over 19 feet long and weighing nearly 5,000 pounds, it resembled a yacht more than an automobile, especially during a time of narrow streets and tight parking spaces. Despite its powerful V8 engine, the car had terrible fuel economy, often getting only a few miles per gallon. Its design philosophy was more chrome, more bulk, more flash. But the result was a heavy, expensive, and uncompetitive car. Only about 7,400 units were sold before it was discontinued in 1959. The Limited became a prime example of style over substance. It featured vague and uncontrolled ride quality, and slowing this car down was like dragging an anchor through molasses. 1955. Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz. In the golden age of American extravagance, the 1955 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz was the king of opulence, a two-door convertible with gleaming chrome, gold accents, and proud tailfin styling. It looked like success on four wheels, but once you hit the road, the illusion began to fade. The car was equipped with a 331 cubic inch OHV V8 engine, producing 270 horsepower. Weighing nearly 4,900 pounds, its performance was less than impressive. Accelerating from 0 to 60 miles per hour took over 13 seconds, and the quarter mile stretched into the high 20-second range. The car was luxurious but sluggish. The suspension, featuring independent coil springs up front and semi-elliptic leaf springs in the rear, was built more for show than for control. The brakes were conventional four-wheel drums, hardly adequate to rein in the Biarritz's mass. It drove like a yacht and cornered like one, too. The interior featured full leather upholstery, a wraparound windshield, and even gold-plated accents. But the Biarritz's price was over $6,200 in 1955, equivalent to nearly $70,000 today. That money bought flashiness, not performance. There was no real innovation, no groundbreaking technology, no superior performance, just ostentation. The Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz was certainly a status symbol, but it also represented the idea of buying luxury for the image, not for the substance. And visually impressive car, but ultimately a luxurious toy built for display rather than practical use. 1959. Cadillac Eldorado Brougham. With a starting price of over $13,000, equivalent to $135,000 today, the 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham cost more than an average house. The reason lay in its absolute opulence. The interior was upholstered in leather, wool, stainless steel, and even featured a custom perfume atomizer and stainless steel cocktail cups. Each Brougham was hand-assembled, offering Rolls-Royce-level luxury. However, hidden beneath the lavish exterior were countless head-scratching technical issues. Its advanced air suspension system was notoriously unreliable, often sagging or collapsing. The electronic features were difficult to maintain, and the car's excessive weight meant even the powerful V8 engine struggled to move it confidently. Only 99 units were produced, and it never achieved mass success because it represented a misguided idea. Too much extravagance isn't always what buyers want. Do you think these crazy ideas contributed to the development of modern automotive safety? Comment yes or no and let us know your thoughts. 1956. DeSoto Adventurer. With the name Adventurer, DeSoto wanted to sell this car to thrill seekers, speed enthusiasts, those craving something bold and new. And to be fair, the 1956 Adventurer certainly looked the part. Its sweeping curves, glistening chrome, and striking two-tone paint made the car visually impressive. Unfortunately, the speed was only skin-deep. Advertised as a high-performance coupe to compete with the Corvette and Thunderbird, the Adventurer boasted a powerful Hemi 5.8 engine with over 300 horsepower. Impressive on paper, but behind the wheel it was a different story. Its soft suspension, weak brakes, and heavy chassis made for floaty and completely unsportsmanlike handling. Buyers expecting a true muscle coupe instead got a car that looked fast, but drove like a family sedan. This disconnect between advertising and reality proved fatal. In the booming high-performance car market of the 1950s, the Adventurer failed to deliver where it mattered most and quickly faded away. 1958 Lincoln Continental Mark III. Some cars make you feel like royalty behind the wheel, but the Mark III made you feel like you were commanding a battleship. Nearly 20 feet long and weighing over 5,000 pounds, the Lincoln Continental Mark III was the definition of excess in both form and function. Lincoln aimed to challenge Cadillac with a top-tier luxury model. They equipped it with impressive features for the time: 6-way power seats, a power trunk, power windows. On paper, it was cutting edge, but in reality, everything was too heavy, too weak, or both. Its boxy design, stubby tail fins, and tank-like front end made the Mark III look more like a fortress than a luxury car. And when driven, its massive 430 cubic inch V8 engine couldn't overcome its weight or its astonishingly poor fuel economy. Priced at nearly $6,000 at the time, over $65,000 today, the Mark III competed directly with the Cadillac Eldorado, but lacked the refinement to win that battle. Today, the Mark III is not remembered for its success, but for representing an era when automakers believed that bigger automatically meant better, and they were wrong. 1958 Chevrolet Yeoman. If the 1950s was an era of American automotive excess with tail fins, flashy chrome, and space-age styling, the 1958 Chevrolet Yeoman looked like someone showed up to a fancy party severely underdressed. The Yeoman was born with good intentions, to offer an affordable station wagon for young families. But in an effort to cut costs, Chevrolet stripped away almost everything people loved about their cars. No tail fins, no gleaming chrome, no two-tone paint. The Yeoman looked like a dull gray Lego brick, boxy, simple, monotonous. The interior was even more basic. No air conditioning, no radio, no fake wood grain details. Everything was sacrificed for the sake of price. The problem was, even with all the cuts, the Yeoman still wasn't cheap enough to compete with better equipped wagons from other brands. Its biggest weakness was its lack of identity. In an era where cars made bold statements, the Yeoman said nothing. It wasn't fast, it wasn't stylish, and it wasn't particularly affordable. It just existed and then quickly vanished from Chevrolet's lineup. It's proof that when you strip away too much, you can strip away the very soul of a car. These cars, whether strange or flawed, all shaped a chaotic chapter in American automotive history. They remind us that flashy looks or cool features aren't enough. A car is only successful when it truly suits the driver. If you enjoyed this journey, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. See you in the next one.